Hi guys, today we are going to be talking about the angle-angle postulate. So go ahead and title that in your notebook, please. So I'd like for you to take a couple seconds here and think about what would make two triangles similar. What does similarity or similar triangles really mean? So go ahead and jot some ideas down. Go ahead and pause the video and jot some ideas down. Okay, so hopefully you came up with that similar triangles would have the same shape, but they are different sizes. Okay, so two triangles that are similar, they have the same shape, but different sizes. Okay, so that's the basic definition. Do you guys know anything else about similar triangles? Well, hopefully you guys realize that if they're the same shape but different sizes, one other property is that their angles, okay, their angles are all congruent, or not all congruent, but corresponding angles are congruent. So what that means is if I have this triangle A, B, C, and I have its other triangle, sorry, kind of went off the page here, D, E, F, and let's say right now for kicks that they are similar, they're the same shape, but different sizes. Angle B and angle E, and I'm going to put an arc there, are corresponding angles, okay, because they're the same angle just in the larger, so B is in the smaller triangle, but E is the same angle as B, but in the larger triangle. And so we would say those are corresponding angles, and those would be congruent. Same thing for A and D. And I put two arcs there to note that they are different angles. So angle A and angle D would be corresponding angles, and those would be congruent. And then also angle F, which I'll put 3, and angle C would be congruent because they are corresponding angles. Okay. Another thing is that the corresponding side lengths are also proportional. Okay. So they would be proportional. For instance, if this triangle was a 4, 3, and 5, let's say, centimeters, would be proportional, meaning from A to B is the same thing as D to E, and let's say that's 8 centimeters, so I'm multiplying by 2. So if A to C is 3 centimeters, then D to F would be 6 centimeters because I'm multiplying by 2, and if B to C was 5, then E to F would be 10 centimeters. So they are proportional. So we'll say proportional sides. Okay, what we're mainly going to focus on in this lesson is that the corresponding angles are congruent. So we are going to be using a theorem, or a postulate rather, the angle-angle postulate, which is right here, that states if two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of the other, so just like we were talking about, if you can prove that two sets of angles are congruent, then we know that the third set has to be congruent because all of our angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So then we can say that the triangles are similar because their angles are the same. The corresponding angles are congruent. So please go ahead and make sure this is in your notebook, the angle-angle similarity postulate. Make sure you have the definition, the words, okay, that explain the postulate. And then we're going to talk about the symbols. So what the symbols are saying, they're giving you an example down here. There are two triangles, and it's showing you have triangle ABC and triangle FGH, and it's saying, hey, if angle A and this little symbol right here means congruent, okay, make sure you know that and have that in your notes. We're going to be using it a lot. If angle A is congruent to angle F, which we can see right here, they're corresponding. They have one arc showing that they are congruent to one another. If angle A is congruent to angle F, that's one set of angles. And angle B is congruent to angle G. If you notice, there are two lines here and two lines here. So they're giving us that information that angle B and angle G are also congruent. Then we can state our similarity statement saying that triangle ABC is similar. So this little symbol, just the little tilde, means similar, okay, to triangle F, G, and H. And it is important that you label them correctly because A, remember, went with angle F, and B went with angle G, and C goes with angle H. So it is important the order that you state. So we're going to go ahead and practice this, but understand that we are proving that if we can prove two sets of angles congruent, then the third has to be. For example, if this was 120 degrees, and let's say this little angle was, I don't know, 25 degrees, okay? And so this was 120 and this is 25. Well, then what is that missing angle? Well, 120 and 25 gives us 145. And if we need to make it up to 180, we would have 35. Right? Because we have 145, and if we take 180 from it, because we know that's how much is in a triangle, and so this becomes a 7 and a 10, and that's 5, and that's 3, so 35 degrees, and so the missing triangle, or the missing angle here has to be 35 degrees also. So instead of doing that work, we can just say, hey, they have to be congruent, the third set, because we can prove the other two. Okay, let's do some examples. So you need to copy down the triangles. All right, we are going to determine whether these triangles are similar, and if they are, then we need to write down, oh, there we go, oh, sorry. And if so, then we need to write a similarity statement. So if we take a look here, can you point out any similar angles? Well, oh, I just covered up that angle. There we go. Angle E is 62 degrees, and angle A is 62 degrees. Okay, so we have one set of angles that are similar, or that are congruent, but then F is 48 and C is 70. So if we do some math, we can find G and B, and maybe we can have another set of angles. So if I take a look at angle E and angle F, I'm going to go ahead and add those two together, and when I do that, I get 10 and I get 110, and so this is going to be 70 degrees. So if G is 70 degrees, take a look, isn't angle C 70 degrees also? Woohoo! So just that little bit of math gave me another set of angles. Okay? So if I have two angle measures, doesn't B have to be 48 degrees in order for this triangle, the little triangle, to add up to 180? Yes, it does, but I don't need to do that math and prove it because I can already state two angles. So we are going to say, we'll start angle E is congruent to angle A because, and yes, you're going to have to write a couple sentences here, because they are both 62 degrees. Okay, so that's proving. Then we can say that angle G is congruent to angle C because they are both 70 degrees. Okay, so we can conclude, we can say that, and I ran out of space, that's why I'm coming down here, triangle, and label it however you want, but remember corresponding angles have to go in order. So if we say triangle EGF is similar to triangle, and if I started with E, that was my 62, so I'm going to say A, and G was 70, so C, and then B, not D. B. Oh, there we go. So we said A, C, B. Okay, so make sure that's in your notebook. Let's go ahead and do another one. Copy this one down. So we are going to determine whether triangles are similar and write a similarity statement. So first of all, you should right off the bat notice that angle H is 110 and angle L is 110. There's our one set. Now, there's no other measurements, so I can't just do some math, do some arithmetic, and come up with different measurements that are the same. So I need to figure out what kind of angle relationships am I looking at? Do I see anything that is similar? Hopefully you've noticed there are two lines here, parts of the triangles that intersect one another. And by definition, when two lines intersect one another, vertical angles form. So do you guys see a pair of vertical angles? Hopefully you see this angle. Okay, so this angle here and this angle here. So I'm going to go ahead and label this angle 1 so we can label it easily, and angle 2. So if we take a look there, angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles, which means they are congruent. Perfect. I have two sets of angles in the triangles that I can share. So I have Angle H is congruent to angle L because they are both 110 degrees, period. Second one, angle 1 and angle 2, oh, I'm sorry, I should rewrite that. Let's see. Fix my 110, okay. And then I can say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 because they are vertical angles. We could also label angle 1 L, K, M because those are the vertices that make it up. So angle 1 is really L, K, M, so you could use that as well. Or H, K, J for angle 2. H, K, J would be angle 2, so you could label it that way also. So we are ready for a similarity statement. So triangle, and remember it depends on what you label it. So I'm going to start with the 110, H, K, J is similar to triangle. And if I start with the 110, I have L, then the vertical angle, which is K, and then M. And that is my similarity statement. Okay? Alrighty, I think, yep, just one more example. Here we go. So go ahead and write down these. And let's begin. So if I am looking to form similarity statements, remember I'm looking for similar triangles. So I can see that angle C is 80 degrees and angle F is 80 degrees. Perfect. There's one set. However, once again, I'm left with, I got to find the other set. So I'm going to take a look at triangle FDE, and I have 80 and 60. And 80 and 60, when I add those two together, gives me 140. So that means that this angle has to be 40 degrees. Well, does that match the other triangle ABC? No, it doesn't, because this triangle, or this angle E is 40 and this angle B is 42. So they're not the same. So therefore, they are not similar. Okay, so I'm just going to simply say not similar triangles. Okay, because it did not prove using the AA postulate. Okay, we can come up with two sets of angles. So there's a non-example. All right, so here's your exit slip. We have number 1, number 2, and number 3, so go ahead and make sure you get those done, and we will check them over in class.